The next important factor that we want to consider with our particle emission is the source. Now, the source is basically where are the particles getting emitted from. Since we only have one object with one face, and we choose faces here, they're only going to be emitted from the faces. But if we switch this to vertices and we go back, you can see that our particles are only emitted from the vertices of this object. So basically, where are we generating these particles from? All right. If we choose volume, we'll get a similar effect to the first time. Now, this all depends on the object you have. A great example of this would be if I tabbed into edit mode, right-clicked on the plane and subdivided it. And now we go back to our vertices emission option. Now, we should have sort of like a grid effect with where our particles are emitted from. Now, this can be used to have stylized rain or just a cool grid pattern, really whatever you want. Me personally, I typically choose faces for the particle emission because then you get a little bit more of a scattered look. And you probably already noticed there's a lot of different settings here. One of the cool settings is cache, which we already know about, and this is very helpful for when you have very, very complex particle simulations with a lot of particles. So you're going to want to bake those out so that Blender can calculate all of those physics. Our next setting we're going to go over are the actual physics settings. So this is our physics type. I like to stick to Newtonian. There's other options in there such as keys, void, and fluid. I usually don't mess with those, and if I ever do, it's usually only fluid. I think Newtonian gives me the best result that I'm looking for. This value right below, this mass value, that's going to be the heaviness of each particle. Pretty simple there. And that'll make more sense and become more apparent as we start to add force fields to our scene. Now, one of the fun things to do in Blender is adjust these forces in real time. As you can see on the right, we have a dampening value. As I raise that up, everything kind of falls a little bit more slowly. You can also increase the drag, which will have a similar effect. And then the Brownian, which doesn't seem to have any effect, but you guys can do your research on that one. I find that dampening is the strongest effect that we can apply to our particles.